My garbage person of the year is what I'm calling the despoilers. Those who, in a variety of different roles in society, media, politics, here in the US, internationally, are perfectly happy to set fire to the world, to poison our planet for their short-term financial gain, the benefit of their career, political expediency, to seem consistent ideologically, whatever the rationale is. It is not worth what they are doing to the world that they have to inhabit and that their children and grandchildren will have to inhabit. And before I identify some of the specific people who I think really stand out amongst this group, I do want to just sort of sum up the year in Earth. It was the hottest year potentially in recorded history. How exciting is that? Which actually, like some of you might think, well, yeah, every year is hotter. Well, but 2023 or 2022 was actually really, really hot. And a lot of scientists thought it's not a totally linear thing that the heat goes up. How could it pass 2022? But it looks like it is in fact going to. Global national average temperatures were out of control. And I will remind you all, we're in the winter now, but there was a massive heat wave across the heat dome, they called it, across a wide part of the United States. People were literally, I will remind you, suffering second-degree burns if they touched the pavement because it was so hot. And bear in mind how deadly this can be. This is not just about inconvenience. Last summer, 60,000 people died during the heat wave that happened that summer, just in Europe, by the way. So this is very much a life and death thing. And we had big heat waves, not just in the United States this summer. There were massive heat waves that lasted for months at a time in Asia, from Vietnam to China. Parts of north central Siberia hit 100 degrees Fahrenheit at one point, setting all-time records. Records were set across most of the earth in different incidents. And aside from just the heat, we also had continued devastating natural disasters. This headline says 11,300 people died in flooding in Libya, but I've seen estimates of over 20,000. There were wildfires that were made worse because of the overall heating trend. I will remind you what happened on Maui. It was absolutely devastating. I think about 100 people in the end, their deaths are blamed on that wildfire. There was flooding in Greece. There was flooding in Rwanda, where 130 people at one point had died. Whole villages and cities being wiped out in various parts of the world thanks to it. Tropical cyclones continue to kill large numbers of people, including in this particular instance in Malawi. And so we had a really devastating situation across Earth. And along the way, while more and more regular people, I think, are waking up to, oh yeah, this is terrible. And it's not just gonna be terrible in 75 years, it's really bad now. You had the despoilers. So you had people like Jesse Waters, who attempted to just lull people into passively accepting our careening towards apocalypse, telling people, well, yeah, there's a deadly heat wave, but it might not be global warming that's doing it. That's what he uses his platform for. You have this guy, I'm not even sure if this is a person, it might be AI, on Newsmax saying, well, it's always been hot in California.
It's Don Draper.
100%. It's 8-bit Don Draper. And you had Donald Trump, who continues to have in a vice grip like 60 million Americans ranting against electric cars. So even the thing that their boy Elon Musk is selling that might help a little bit in dealing with our climate crisis, they have to attack that. And it wasn't just climate, it wasn't just carbon emissions. I will remind you, we have people like, or corporations like Norfolk Southern who are, allowing toxic chemicals to be spilled in different places because they care more about maximizing profit on their train deliveries rather than having the safety features that are necessary. You have people in positions of significant power, like the president, behind COP28, who talked down expedited phase out of fossil fuels. And there was a lot of media attention on him, on Sultan Al Jaber, but I'll remind you that Joe Biden didn't even go to COP this year. So also he's kind of part of the problem. And I will remind you the United States, despite the attacks from the right constantly, is now producing more oil than any country in history. So, not exactly moving quickly to lower our impact on rising carbon emissions around the globe. So there's just a lot of people who, despite the constant evidence hitting us in the face, burning our skin off, just accelerating, our drive towards climate apocalypse. So it's not just one person, it's a lot of people. But Brett, what do you think?
Not buying it, John.
Apologies.
The climate
I'll come up
change
with
is
something
4
else.
times a year. There's winter, spring, summer, and is there a coincidence they call it fall?
No, but anyway, what
Autumn
else do
and
you think
fall.
about
Do
these
you
people?
need 2 words like that? Your science doesn't even make sense. You need 2 separate words for one season.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just isn't working for me, John. I think you need to rethink your science.
Okay, well, I'm gonna think about it for another 10, 20 years. Let the oil companies continue to generate a ton of profit, and then I'll get back to you with updated numbers.
Yeah, I love it. I love the Jesse Waters aspect of it. The folks who are just sitting there, and I understand a part of what motivates him, and that is this feeling that people have that's like, what do you want me to do about it? Like, what do you want me to do about it? What I want, and it very much pangs of, I don't know, people watch Happy Half Hour Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. Pacific,
should.
8:30 p.m. Eastern. We watched a bunch of old commercials, and there was this old commercial for a toothpaste that eliminates tobacco stains. And in the commercial, it goes like, you're not quitting anytime soon. And dang it, why should you? Just clean the stains. That is Jesse Waters type analysis of climate change. It's just like, listen, I know that doing this thing that's good is not easy. And sometimes you have to change your normal routine around the things that you do to make you feel good so that you can have a benefit in the end. And that's kind of smoking. So Jesse Waters like, screw it. All these problems they tell you about, the big one is the cosmetic ones. I can fix those, but I'm not going to do anything about the underlying issue.
100%. Yeah. And all those people like I know that we're not supposed to speak to how much other people that we don't know care about their kids or family or whatever, but like I feel like it's kind of indisputable that if you are willing to doom your kids and your grandkids to devastating conditions, you could care more about them than you do. Is that unfair of me as a parent to say?
This is gonna get silly and philosophical, but it is my opinion that your approach to climate change coaxing does not work. Because people
evidently no, it doesn't.
People hate their kids. And I like the one, they're just like, yeah, my kids ruined my life. Why do I care? They are a parasite. And they face no headwinds. I give them everything. And this is the one headwind they get to face in their life. Those, avocado toast guzzling, leeches. But in this situation, for me, I focus on the people. And you're right that these people are garbage. The ones who essentially are, they're kind of finding the easy layup for people that are like tired of hearing anyone tell them what needs to change in the world. And also they're hypocrites because they'll complain about stuff that's not an issue. Like it is an issue. That's the part that gets me the most about them. Is in terms of climate change, and I think the best messaging is gonna, there need to be people like you that are like, hey, I'm just gonna tell you what's happening just so you know and you can't rationalize it away. But meantime, there need to be like, oh, this LED light makes financial sense for you better than an incandescent,
Hey, we do that sometimes.
Yeah, no. I think you do it. I think you do it too. And I'm being hyperbolic just because it's boring if I'm not. But yeah.
Continue.
You got that.
Look, even like again, and I don't want to focus too much just on like individual consumer choices that people can make because that is not fundamentally how you solve this. But like it's been a long time since I think most, like as an example, EV advocates were like, buy an EV because it'll save the environment. Like, yes, it will do that. It's also better in like 10 different ways than an internal combustion engine car.
Yeah.
And so I've largely failed to convince. My test subject is Jared Jackson. I haven't yet won him over, but I'm working on it. But anyway, yeah, those are my garbage people. Not big fans of them. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.